Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Eric with OzoneTCG. We also have Sean here as well. Today we're going to be looking at the Libromancer theme from Battle of Chaos, just what it does and the potential it has for the TCG Advanced format. Before we get into the video, though, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let's get right into it.
Alright, so it's been about a week since Libromancer's got fully revealed in Battle of Chaos. There's only 7 cards this time, so we get the next 7 in the next set, Dimension Force. I think now will be a good time to whether or not gauge if the deck will be good or it has potential, or if it's just dead on arrival like a certain other War Rock deck we had. TCG exclusives have been pretty hit or miss lately. Ever since Dangers came out, I can understand why. Dangers was kind of broken, but ever since, I feel like they hit the mark on wave 1 for most of them, and then other times they've just failed on wave 2. I think B Trooper is a pretty good example of having an insane wave 1, but wave 2 it just did not hit that mark. Thankfully, though, it's still good enough because DP is just the best B Trooper card in the game, so it'd be like that.
Yep.
I feel like off the bat, I think Libromancer does have kind of nearly the same thing as B Trooper wave 1, but maybe this time they'll give them a wave 2 that matches wave 1. I can just jump right into it and show you my thoughts here. So the first card we have is Geek Boy, which you're going to notice a pattern for most of these cards that they have an effect where if you have a ritual in your hand, you can summon it from your hand. And if it's ever special summoned, you can do something else. So for Geek Boy, it has the standard summon itself from hand, and then on special summon, you can add a Libromancer spell from deck to hand. This is important because now E-Telly is at 3, so this card is also an additional starter. I mean, just in general, this card's really good. I think it's the first one we got shown. It's the Rota for the deck. It makes it so all your stuff is consistent now. And I guess there's no locks on the card, so any future support is just real nice because it can splash with something else. I decided to go with Geek Boy at the start point, but I think what I should do is just cover the cards that I just don't think are that good right now.
Okay.
Magi Girl is the first one. I think this card is just not that good. None of the rituals are quick effects right now to do on your opponent's turn for anything, so this card's just not that relevant-ish. Water Spellcaster is kind of hard to take advantage of sometimes. It's level 4. I think this one is probably going to become really good when the next set drops and we get a quick effect monster, because she's the only one who doesn't have her ritual form yet. Whatever she gets is probably going to be like a quick effect disruption, like negate a card or pop a card. What? Either way, at that point, maybe it'll be good, but I don't know, it's just weird.
I think if they get some kind of even on summon, so one of the other ones, Firestarter, we'll cover in a second, he has an on summon effect. I think if they have some kind of like, if this card's ritual summon, you can target a card in the field, destroy it. Something like that would definitely be better, especially if she's level 4, because then you can just ritual summon using just her.
Yeah, next up we have Firestarter, which is easily the worst card in the entire 7-card wave. So I don't even know where to begin with. This card, all the rituals have an effect where if you use a monster in the field, they do something else. This one makes it so it's like hexproof, can't be destroyed or banished by card effects. And then his other effect is it gains 200 attack and defense for each time your opponent activates a card or effect, while you have this card with less than 3,000 attack. So it's not proactive, it relies on your opponent, and it just doesn't do anything for the payoff that you want. I feel like even if we get a wave 2, this card still won't see play, but I don't know. It just depends entirely. It's a Cyberse, which I think is really funny, but outside that, yeah. Not the best card. Now that we got those two out the way, we can talk about the actual good cards. So we have Libromancer Agent, which I think is probably either the best or second best in the wave here. Standard summon effect, and then the other effect is where you get to add a Libromancer card from your graveyard to your hand. If you added a Spiral Trap card, you can put a card on your hand on the bottom of the deck. This feeds into an infinite loop that I'll talk about a little later on in the video. I think it's really cool. The fact that if you can add a monster back and it doesn't put a card back, I think that's also really cool. I mean, yeah, this, I guess on first read through it doesn't look impressive, but once you get to the other cards, this card will look a lot more better and better. Also, it's really good because wave 2, once we get more cards, it just becomes like an advantage generator. I'll come back to this because this card's nice. Next up we have Doombroker, which is probably the only playable ritual in this wave. If you use the monster on the field, it can attack directly. That's whatever, I guess. The effect you want to care about is the fact that you can set a Libromancer trap card directly from your deck. That's a main phase skill that also feeds into the infinite loop that I mentioned before. The effect to inflict when you inflict damage, you target a monster your opponent controls and shuffle the deck's alright, but it's like battle phase effects aren't the best. I guess having a monster in the field makes this a lot easier to trigger, but it's still just not the best. It's okay removal, I guess. But like, I don't know. Once we get new support, this will probably get a lot more better because we're bound to get another trap card in the next set anyways. I can imagine we get, what, 2 ritual monsters, another main deck monster, and then like a whole bunch of spell and traps left.
Yep.
We'll see.
I think it'll be, the 2 monsters and then like probably 2 spells and probably maybe 2 traps. If we do, 8, or if it's 7, then like 1 trap.
Yeah, I agree. The next 2 cards are probably the most cracked in the wave. Libromancer First Appearance is maybe the reason why you'd play this deck. If it, like, any potential the deck has is because of this card.
Yep.
So when you activate it, it adds a Libromancer monster from your deck to your hand, so it's light stage. During your main phase, you can ritual summon 1 Libromancer from your hand by choosing monsters from hand or field, whose levels equal or exceed blah blah blah. You can only activate this Libromancer First Appearance once per turn. The effect of ritual summon isn't once per turn, which I found out the hard way when I played versus it.
Yeah, not at all.
It's very cool. I think this card sets up a lot of combos, especially with Geek Boy and Agent. New support is easily like searchable now. There's no problems like Warrock has where it's just you can search it but you can't really do anything else afterwards, or the cards aren't good enough. This card honestly solves a lot of issues that ritual decks have, where I want to say you can't get the ritual spell. So like Vendrids, for instance, had an issue where you only had 6 copies of the ritual spell plus the pre-prep. In the core for this one, Geek Boy searches it, so that's Geek Boy and 3 E-Tele plus the field spell. Like, it's just a lot. Outside that though, it also sets up all the rituals. Having a ritual monster in hand, so you can summon the main deck monsters from hand too.
Yeah, I agree. When I covered this in my first impressions for the Battle of Chaos reveals, some of the leaks we had last week, I had mentioned, this is before the ban list came out, I had mentioned that if this, if E-Tele goes with 3, this deck definitely has potential. I still think that's the case, because 3 E-Tele, you could play this with like Adventure, 3 E-Tele with Geek Boy gets this card gets any of your other monsters that you want. And honestly, you could go something like Magic Girl can ritual summon on the opponent's turn. I think that might be a play later on with Dimension Force once we get that kind of support. If they, of course, give her a ritual, which I think they will.
Yeah, I assume she's gonna get something that does something.
Yeah.
Oh, like interruption wise, because they only have 1 interruption in archetype right now, but I'll get to that right now. So the final card in the wave is Libromancer Intervention, which is basically an Omni negate if you have a Libromancer ritual monster. You bounce the ritual back to your hand, and then you negate the activated effect. Then afterwards, you can summon a Libromancer from hand or graveyard.
Just for free.
Yeah, this card triggers all of the main deck monsters. It recycles everything. You can reset it. I guess I'll get to the infinite loop right now. So what you have to do is, let me grab this little spreadsheet here. What you do is you ritual summon the level 6 guy, set the trap card off his effect because he can do it in the main phase.
Yep.
With intervention, you negate something, you summon Geek Boy, you add First Appearance to your hand. On your next turn, you add Agent to your hand off First Appearance. You special summon it by revealing the ritual. You bounce back to hand off the trap card, Intervention.
Yeah.
Agent will then add the trap from add the intervention back from graveyard to hand, and then you put that on the bottom. You use First Appearance to ritual summon the agent to summon the ritual back that you bounced originally. Use him to set the trap card you put back on the bottom of your deck, and then you can just do this again and again and again until the end of the game. It's very cool. I know I keep saying this, but I think that is one of the biggest reasons why you play the deck also. It's an Omni negate plus a summon. Like, a lot of decks wish they had cards like this.
Yeah, and if you're playing it with something like Adventure, you have basically your 2 cycling negates every single turn because Griffin puts itself back into the deck as well. You just search the next turn, combos with, adding some of your Libromancer monsters back from your graveyard or special summoning them off Intervention. I could see that actually doing something, even in this format, just with the way it is kind of open right now.
Yeah, I think the fact that, I think the fact that the trap card is also a really good strength to it, because that means Dark Ruler and Droplets don't affect you that much. Another thing is that Draw and Lockbird, which is like usually like a game ender versus rituals, doesn't seem the best versus deck because it sets it off of the ritual monster
instead of adding.
Yeah, instead of adding. So you'll really need to get off your first appearance or Geek Boy first effect most of the time. I think this deck does have a lot of potential. Wave 1 set up a lot for it. Wave 2 probably just has to be like Bode B level in order for it to be playable. Really good. There's no locks on anything. I mean, honestly, you could play this with almost everything I can think of right now. Adventure, yeah, Megalith, or not Megalith, sorry. Dredgeton and other friends, yeah. There's a lot. And do you have any thoughts?
I think Post-Dimension Force, even if we didn't get any cards, right? So I think Post-Dimension Force, you could still play this with, like, Therions. Because of the psychic interaction and the warrior interaction, because they do have both warriors and psychics in there. I also think you could tech out the Albaz engine in here, because the only ritual, you don't really summon anything from your extract. You may summon, a Link 1 or Link 2 here and there, but you're not really locked at all. As I mentioned with Adventure, you could put all 3 of them together, or all 4 of them if you really wanted to. Just make like an absolute pile of a deck. I really think that, especially the Adventure and Albaz like themes and engines have a lot of potential with this, even before Dimension Force comes out. With Dimension Force, I'm sure one of them will be better than the other. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with this, especially with Italia 3. That's my favorite thing, is that just kickstarts. It was made that way, like very clearly with Geek Boy, that you want to use Italia to get him out in order to kickstart everything. So I think there's some other potential with some synchro like Cyber Reflector that could be a potential as well. If you're ever locked into some certain extra deck monster, it doesn't really affect you since you're playing rituals anyway. I think there's a lot of potential with this.
Yeah, if I had to rate it, I'd put this up there with B Trooper Wave 1. Probably like around B or A tier, yeah, for it.
It's pretty fair.
I think, it sets a really good groundwork. I think there's a lot of playable cards in it. Lack of restrictions makes it even better. It's not like B Trooper where you have to play around the insect lock. It's really good stuff. I don't know.
I'm just excited. As well as Geek Boy, I think I love Omni Negates, right? I love Intervention.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, first appearance, the fact that it's not a once per turn ritual summon effect, I think that's what makes me want to play this deck the most. I'm going to try and get these. This is recorded before Premiere, but I'm going to try and get all of these as soon as possible, just to test it out.
Yeah, keep on the lookout for any future videos for Libromancer. I have a few ideas in the way, and I believe most of this is cheap at this point anyways, so I will be trying to pick it up, I guess, after tomorrow's tournament.
We'll Geek Boy's a promo, so it'll be around... really, it'll be no more than something like M-Pen's price, than Scout Buggy's price. Honestly, it's the closest thing is Scout Buggy, and the most that card ever reached was about $25, almost $30. That's the bulk of the deck, though. Like, that's the bulk of the cost. I think the Field Spell is going to be cheap now. Dimension Force, different story, but, I really can't see this being expensive. If you're going to play it, though, and I think, as I've said before, with the Adventure Engine, that would be the bulk of the cost, is just Adventure Engine plus hand traps. Alrighty, so this is Eric and Sean with OzoneTCG, and if you guys like this, again, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.